Hello, Rayleigh with Speedboat Magazine. We are here with our podcast once again, Boats and Bros, and I'm here with my bro, Myrick Coil, and another bro. We have Vinnie Diorio from SV Racing number 88. How are you guys?
Good, Ray. You?
Fantastic. So you guys are both offshore racers extraordinaires. Myrick, we discussed in the last episode, you're campaigning 3 different race teams, and Vinny is running the Supercat class. Tell us about your team, Vin.
We started racing probably 4 years ago, I think was the first Key West we went to. We started off in Key West, and then with COVID, it kind of got messed up, so we kind of lost a year, but we're getting there. A lot more experience, I think, coming into this year. And our team's kind of pretty pumped to get going.
There's some news coming out of your camp.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe a little motor swap.
Yeah.
So he raced the 860 and campaigned that last season, and the guys in the class didn't care for him having those engines so much, so they kept putting a lot of weight on him, and he was in a lot of heated arguments on different meetings, phone calls, and stuff like that, trying to get the weight lowered. How low did you get it eventually? 10?
I think we're 10-150, so 650 pounds more than them guys.
Yeah, which is huge, you know.
It's a lot, considering they're probably running the same horsepower as what we're at.
Similar.
So
one of the discrepancies, just in the Supercat guys' defense, was 860 versus 800, when in reality the 860 was less. It was more in the 18s or 810 or something like that.
Well, it was actually the comp motor, and they had it converted over to a dry sump just because we were kind of losing oil pressure going into the turn so hard, which because the motor wasn't really designed for racing. So most pleasure boat or poker run guys aren't really jamming into a corner like we are going around a course in a Supercat.
Yeah.
So the way the oil sensor was for the pressure on the side of the pan, it was kind of coughing a bit and going into Guardian. So Mercury ended up changing them over to a dry sump tanks, and it helped us a lot. But when they did that, we kind of robbed some more horsepower, and it ended up coming down to like 806. So then, they kind of redid the motor and called it an 800 comp motor then at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually the first time I ever rode in Vinny's boat with him. I turned it and I said, "What was that?" Or I told him, "Turn it." And he's like, "Really? Right now?" I go, "Yeah, turn it." And then the oil pressure alarm went off. I was like, "Holy shit, this thing's rolling the oil right up on the side of the oil pan. We're turning so hard."
And he said to me, he says, "Did you ever have that problem?" I said, "No, but I don't think we never turned the boat that hard before," which really, with him running the boat with me that time at the lake, just out testing it, I mean, we kind of learned a little bit more of the limit what the boat can handle. He could feel it a whole lot better than what I could.
Yeah, just literally doing it before and then going, "Oh man, it'll do that time and time again." And once you get confidence in it, it's huge.
So with the Mercury engines coming out, Vin, what are you putting in its place?
We bought a set of Sterlings for now to just to get us started here because they were available. So we're going to run them here just to get them in the boat, get the boat rigged so we're ready for a marathon. And then we're just kind of leaving our options open right now, get them in the boat and get going with them, and going to get a new set built here. So we got another set ready and available, but we're going to try these for now.
He calls them tractor motors. That's what he calls
farm tractor motors.
Farm tractor motors. So he's had to eat a lot of crow over this next season because he's been lighting us up for the last year and a half, 2 years, and now he's like, "Okay, I'm back."
Well, I'm probably still going to pick on him all for it, and I'll probably, I guess in return picking on myself, but that's just, I don't know. I don't agree with it, but like my line I'm going to use, if you can't beat him, join him. So I'm joining him again. It's 2023 and we're running carburetors yet. So
yeah,
kind of an odd thing for me.
So the Race World Offshore Marathon Race, that's the first one. It's their inaugural event happening next month in April, and you guys are both participating in it. Do you guys know what to expect?
I've raced there before,
of course,
but this is supposedly a new course. I've actually won there before, if you're wondering, Vinny.
Of course.
It's pretty cool. The last time we were there, because it was out of Ferro Blanco, and the crews got to stand up on top of the lighthouse at the Ferro Blanco, which is a pretty cool vantage point for them guys. But I've been told it's a different course that might run us a little bit further down the 7 Mile Bridge, but that would also be a good vantage point for viewers to be able to watch. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm sure all the guys at Race World will be thinking about all that stuff and have us set up pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I've understood, is that Larry's setting it up so it can be more spectator friendly off the bridge.
Hopefully a flat race. I like them pretty good.
Yeah, especially for the first race of the year after all the changes. For the last couple of years, or predominantly, we go to Cocoa Beach right off the bat, and whether it's a new boat or all the changes you've done, you literally just destroy it, and Vinny knows all about that.
Yeah.
Myrick, tell us what you're talking about.
I forgot about that. Oh,
until
right.
Sure.
He's still picking sand out of his shorts for that one.
I still got a pucker factor going there.
Oh, you have like I don't know. I have the picture, but the most epic picture of all time with this boat on the beach, upside down, balanced on the canopy.
I didn't really think that was the cool picture. I thought it was the one where I was kind of flying up in the air. That was cooler.
Yeah, the snap roll where it was like, I think they're going to go over twice. It was pretty epic.
Save it.
Yeah, I thought he was going to land. We call it landing on his wheels, but he didn't. No. His driver at the time, he said we hadn't even landed, and Gary was already out of the cockpit. We hadn't even landed yet. No. His feet were leaving the cockpit.
Well, we finally come to a stop. I looked over. I was going to ask him if he was good, but he was already gone.
It was funny. So, not funny, but
talking about the Cocoa Beach race 2 years ago.
Would have been 3 now.
3 now.
Man,
when did it been?
Coming into a turn, and you rolled the boat, right?
No, we weren't. We were coming out.
They were leaving the turn.
Okay,
got it straightened out.
Little trim, happy, little wave,
close to shore, and kind of got to surf a bit.
Yeah, it's sketchy when you actually think about how close they race you at Cocoa, and Coco's known for surfing and stuff like that. So literally, you get right there on the beach, and if you have an accident, it's a matter of seconds before they have the boats on the beach. So it can get hairy.
So Vinny,
especially when it's
tell
rough.
us what that felt like as you were going over.
Oh, it happened pretty quick. It went dark, and then it went light again, and then it went dark, and I was waiting for it to go light. And I think when it went light again the second time, it's because the escape hatch was open and Gary was gone.
Yeah.
But it happened so quick, but I feel like I got probably one of the safest boats out there. And really all we had, other than our motors drank a little salt water, we literally just had to repaint our canopy hatches from getting sanded while it rubbed around on the beach. But other than that, that was the worst part. It was just the expense of it all.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. I wasn't even sore after that. I've been way more sore riding around in the V bottom racing with Brian.
Yeah,
that'll beat the shit out of you.
So you're talking about the Marker 17 V bottom boat that you raced with Brian Forehand, and that's how you essentially started in offshore racing, correct?
Yep, for sure. That's a lot of fun. I still raced it with him last year, and we actually won their points race thing that they were doing for 5 races. That it was racing for money for this 5 race deal that they had, and me and Brian ended up winning that one. But I grew up in V bottoms, I guess, and that's where my heart kind of started boating. But I love racing with Brian. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's like the V bottom master. Literally.
Forehand.
Forehand is. Yeah, he can drive, he can set up a V bottom like nobody else. So
I've learned a lot. Like the very first time I raced with Brian, I learned so much just running my pleasure boat that I had at the time. And doing poker runs and stuff. When I started racing with Brian, I learned a lot about running my boat from Brian.
Yeah.
Nice.
Vinny's had a lot of outer limits and always been, I think you've always been an outer limits fan, right?
Yeah, I mean, my first boat, which nobody probably knows, but I had a 32 Fountain Fever. That was my first boat. And then when I could get into an outer limits, I had a Fountain for not even quite a year. And then my first outer limits was a 39 Quattro with 525.
Did you know Brian then?
Met him, I think, when I bought my second 39, which I had 39 with 700s, and then I met Brian then.
I see. Yeah, I was just saying that because Big Bird worked at Fountain. That's why I said that. I thought you might have met him when he was working at Fountain, but
no.
Yep.
So since you first got into your outer limits, you've been an outer limits loyalist since, right? I mean, you just recently also taken a delivery of the outboard catamaran, the SC37.
Yeah. No, I just.
He drinks the Kool-Aid so hard.
I like the lines.
Why not?
I like the lines of an outer limits. There isn't as many of them out there for sure. They don't build nearly as many boats as everybody else. I kind of like that part of it. I mean, the market's flooded with MTIs right now, and for good reason. They're great boats. There's just a lot of them out there, and I kind of like being in a group where there's not as many.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and I think of them as an exotic. They're a little different. I mean, there's really cool louvers and things, like something that might not be as user friendly as where you could step or something, but they definitely have a huge appeal, as far as your eyes and all that.
It's funny you say the louvers because there's hard places to step on them. Just all the stuff that like Fiore designed, with all these louvers all the time. But you got it when you bring people with. You're like, don't step there, don't step there, don't step there.
Yeah, but it makes sense. That's what makes those boats so cool. Is just because they are different, but they run good.
I mean, there ain't two of them out there the same for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So transitioning back into racing, you guys, both SV Racing, Amcon, and Performance Boat Center, all you guys have just the amazing, elaborate setups in the pits. And Vinny, your trucks are awesome, which is what you do as a full-time career. Talk to
that. I have 4 company trucks on the road and about 28 owner operators. So I don't drive anymore. I'm dispatching every day. So I know my guys all make fun of me and tell me that I drive a desk every day. But we built a lot of show trucks and stuff like that over the years, and I was pretty into that way before starting to race boats. But
they're unbelievable. If anybody hasn't seen his trucks, I don't know what he's compensating for, because those things are like way long. Those babies are. We always feel sorry for his driver, which most of the time it's Ham in the pits. But this truck is like on the ground and 3 times as long as it needs to be. But it is super cool, that's for sure.
Yeah, Craig from MCon just sits there and wheels his sport chassis all around, and our guys, like especially Duvall, like going through the street parade in that first sharp corner, and he's got to back up, pull up, back up, pull up. But he kind of amazes a lot of people.
It draws them as much attention as the race boat, for sure.
Oh, probably more.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
So tell me about when you guys first met.
Well, I think the first time that I started paying attention, he had, I think it was obviously an orange boat, but I think it had 1350s in it, maybe like Lake Cumberland or something like that. Maybe 2016.
Cumberland,
Yeah, that would have been that would probably been the first time we ever. Yeah, that would have probably been the first time that we ever hung out. And if anybody's ever been to Lake Cumberland, I mean, you're on a row of houseboats that's a couple 100 yards long, and you're stuck there. So you just
with a lot of Dawn dish soap.
Yeah. Everybody puts Dawn dish soap in their hot tub on top of their houseboat, and then hits the jets, and it's like a smokestack of suds that comes out of these things. It's pretty epic.
Or brings leaf blowers and blows just big cubes of foam off their houseboats. But yeah, I think my SV43 was probably pretty new that first year, so that would have been like 2016, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of
Yeah.
trading my 43 around, doing a lot of poker runs then.
Yeah, I think we took the Jimmy John's 388 race boat to that deal.
Yeah.
And and we were that's when we were first. Well, I was first getting started into to it, and then I was like, "Who's this dude?" You know, talking to Brett and Rusty, which they knew him, and like, "Oh, he's cool," you know. And I'm like, "Okay." So we got hanging out, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. And then obviously we got a little closer to and started talking a whole lot more when I started racing with Brian, and then I started seeing him a whole lot more, you know, and then we'd see each other at races, and then we'd see each other poker runs and stuff like that. But
yeah, he stole my crew chief away.
Oh,
he
I gave him a home again.
Yeah, I know. he loves his home too. He loves it. What Billy Moff call Greg that time?
Yeah,
you were doing good in a couple races, and he said something.
Yeah, so we were. I don't know if we were at a conference call or something, or if we were in a meeting or something. And I think we did good at like 2 races, and Billy Moff says, "Well, the only reason you guys are doing good is because you got the old white hair dude from Performance." So now we just call Greg the old white hair dude.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and he accepts it wholeheartedly. He's the best dude there is, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
He brings a lot of knowledge to our program for sure.
Yeah, work ethic.
Of course, we're talking about Greg Hilmer.
Yeah, Greg Hilmer. Yeah,
the white hair dude.
Yeah, the old white hair dude. He was my crew chief when we were racing Supercat, and then we got out of Supercat for a little while, and Vinnie snatched him up. He saw some potential there, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Which he's pretty happy about going back to the farm tractor motor swap. So that's pretty good in his realm.
Yeah, especially with as busy as we are, and that the fact that he's most of the guys, like when he told me that he wanted to go back to Supercat engines, I'm like, fuck, man, you know how busy we are. And he's like, oh, you'll get it done, no problem. That's Vinny. He's like, get that boat in the shop, and then you guys will take care of it, no problem. So anyway. Yeah. So, but
I haven't got
Greg,
any nasty emails from Justice or Brett yet, so we're good.
Oh yeah,
They're coming.
Yeah. I don't know if they're coming, but the other day, Justice is venting to me, and next thing you know, he's like, "Oh, how'd that boat get in there? The bottom's getting fixed on it, blah blah blah." And Greg goes, "Well, he's been waiting a month and a half." I was like, "Yeah, but there's been customers waiting since September." But anyway.
We got a race schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
So you two, I mean, I love hanging around with you guys in the pits because it's so much fun. The ball busting that goes back and forth between you guys. How did that start? And like, what are some of like the stories you can share?
I think it starts because Myrick's short.
No, if you could see us both standing up, we've obviously had to been thick skinned because everybody busts our balls. So then when 2 ball busters bust each other's, it works, I guess. I'm like, okay, yeah. I am taller.
I can't tell you. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times people have put us back to back because they think it's funny, and we're like, we've already done this. Like Myrick's like literally a quarter to maybe 3/8 taller than me. But sometimes I don't know how, but every race we're at, by the time we get to Sunday night, we get to actually enjoy a weekend at the race. We're always back to back at some point.
Yeah, everybody wants to see again. I haven't shrunk yet. I haven't shrunk, and he hasn't gotten any taller. Never know.
I think the only way I'm going to pass him is because he's older and he's going to shrink before I do.
Yeah, how old are you, man? I'd guess
42.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
And you just had a birthday.
46. Old balls. Yeah.
Old balls.
But yeah, Vinny's family is awesome. He's got a little boy and is like the exact same age as I think they're only a couple of weeks or maybe a month apart. And he's got 2 beautiful daughters and a beautiful wife, which he outkicked his coverage on that one big time. But
she's expensive.
Oh, for sure.
She's expensive.
Yeah.
But Yeah. So talk about your family a little bit. Tell us, little Vince, snowmobiling, he's wrestling, he's doing all kinds for 4 years old, or is he 5 yet or 4?
No, he'll be 5 May 29th.
Yeah.
So funny story I'll have to come back to with that. But no, so he's racing snowcross up here, which we're up in Wisconsin, and obviously there's a lot of snow. He's had a 120 snowmobile, and a friend of mine here, like 10 miles away, his kids race snowcross. And so he's got a track at his place. So I'm like, one time I was like, hey, Vid, we've gone and watched and stuff like that. I'm like, you think you want to bring your snowmobile here? He's like, yeah. So we bring his snowmobile there, and he goes out, rips around, practices a bunch. And they had a race in about a month. So we put him out on the course and kind of hopped this sled up pretty good. A buddy of mine owns a motorsports shop here in town, and he's one of my friends that's on the race team. And we tinkered on this thing for a while and got it to run pretty good. So they send all these kids out for the first lap on these 120 Skidoos and Polarises and stuff like that. And we made Vin's sled go from about 9 miles an hour stock to about 22 miles an hour. Now it's going, which everybody else is going that fast, but he wasn't used to it. So he goes out on there and goes over the first hill and like Superman's the thing. He's straight out from his handlebars, and we're like, oh shit, we think we made it too fast. He comes around the back stretch, never lifts on the thing, and fucking comes over it, yard sails it. He goes one way, his helmet went the other way, and his sled went the other way. And I look at my wife, I'm like, who put his helmet on? And she like buries her head down. I'm like, it's not a hat. Like, you have to make sure it's tight or it's not going to do any good. So it took him a while after that, because that was just in practice. So then he gets out in the race and kind of was a little gun shy on the throttle. Well, now he's gotten it back. He's raced in a couple more times, and we were up in Wausau for the last one, and he was like 4th in the finals, and he is by far the youngest kid on the track. So he's coming around now, and he really loves it. But then he's been in a couple wrestling tournaments. I think he was 3rd in the last wrestling tournament. But every time we go to wrestling, he tells me that he'd rather go to the snowcross track and practice. So I was a big wrestler in high school and growing up, but I think maybe I'm going to push him towards more of the snowcross if that's what he likes better. Yeah. It gets us through winter up here.
Blood.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's great. In the upcoming season, you guys are both competitors against each other in the Supercat class.
Yeah.
Do you guys share strategies or what?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time people might not think so, but Vinny will come to me and ask me like, what do you think? Or what are you going to run? Or how'd practice go? And most of the time I'm pretty transparent. I mean, try to help out the people that race with us as much as I can. So,
I mean, it's no secret that Myrick and Tyler have dominated this for like the past couple of years. Yeah, he shakes his head no, but I mean, they've been eons in front of most of us, and their stuff holds together good. They got a good program, and they keep their motors alive and their equipment alive. And I mean, that's the hugest thing, is just finishing a race to begin with. And them guys are always there, and they always run good, which they got a lot of experience. And Tyler runs a pretty class act operation over there. And, they're just, they would rather race against somebody. I mean, as cool as it is to be way out in front of everybody, I mean, it'd be pretty fun if there was a couple of boats out way out in front and they were side by side. I mean, it's a whole lot more fun racing that way. I mean, we've done it with Brian too. I mean, just racing with Brian, we've been half a lap in front of people, and it's cool, but it's a lot more fun when somebody's right alongside you racing.
Yeah, side by side.
Doing a little bumping a little bit,
Yeah, we've done that.
So, Vinny, with your new setup, do you expect to be more competitive with MCON this year?
We'll be more competitive all around. The lightest we got down to is 650 pounds, what them guys all are. And that's huge. Like, a lot of people don't know that, but that is a lot of weight when you're racing. Yeah. And you're huge. Trying to get down to the exact weight when you come out of the water. And, I mean, it's huge in Supercat. Just there's so many variables, and it's such close competition that if you miss it and you screw up on what you put in for fuel and you put in too much fuel, I mean, it's a lot. It's huge. You really got to watch your stuff.
100 pounds could make the difference, and let alone 650 pounds. Most of the time,
especially
we come
at the starts.
Most of the time we come out at 95, 80, 95, 60, and they're weighing everything from the straps and all that, and they subtract that afterwards. But yeah, if he goes in, and a lot of the times we might know what somebody goes in at. We go at 10,000 pounds, and he goes in at 10,700 or something like that.
Oh,
and
we were going because ours would suck more fuel, and we were going in at like 10,850.
Yeah, 10,850. Yeah, so 850 pounds. I mean, it's a lot when you hit the throttle. Yeah.
And it was hard at the starts trying to keep with them because, I mean, if you can get to that first pin and get up in that clean water, it makes a huge difference, And
it really does.
So hard. There was a lot of them too, where we'd be side by side, starting next to each other, and I look over, and he looks over at him, or we're flipping each other off or waving at the two.
Yeah,
they actually got a video. MCon does where Myrick goes, "Bye, Vinny," at the start, and then I actually beat him on the start, and I forgot to have our camera in there, and I even said, "Bye, Myrick," and I looked down, and got no camera in the boat.
Yeah,
bye. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking of when we were going into the first pin, is I didn't have my camera in the boat, so they couldn't hear me say, "Bye, Myrick."
Yeah, that's funny. That goes to show he's thinking about how he's going to bust my balls later because he's in the lead.
100%.
Well, I mean, there's just so many instances, just following you guys around, especially on Facebook stuff. I mean, Vinny, the pictures you post on Myrick is just classic comedy.
Yeah. Well, you too, Ray. You gave him that. You give him the artillery to start taking me out. I mean, that one face that I have that I made that one time in Havasu.
A couple pretty good beams from that.
This guy, I don't know. He can get a picture and have it photoshopped in 5 seconds and back at you. It's
well. I mean, on that note, Vinny, I understand you have a pretty good impression of Myrick. Can you show us?
I haven't really had enough beers yet.
Yeah.
I'm only really good at it when I'm around them for like a whole week, and then I can start talking like them and get that real gravelly tone voice, and then I mess with them pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll come back to that then, because we plan to do this on the road.
Chug a beer, bro.
There they go.
So,
but you also have a nickname for him.
Yeah, I like to call him Fathead a lot, just because he actually physically has a big head.
Yeah, 7 5/8.
That's big.
Little dude, big head.
I just bought a cowboy hat the other day because we went to the rodeo, so I had to fit in, and mine was 7 1/8. So now I know.
I got a 1/2 inch on him.
Yeah, in the head.
Oh yeah.
So, Vinny, tell us about the transition from going from, the V-bottom world into the cats, and especially racing the cats.
Ooh, yeah, the trim button, that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and he's raced a lot in super stock with LPC Little Og.
Yep, we raced. I raced the season with Lauren there, and I was on the wheel in that boat and wasn't real comfortable just because I've usually throttled. I throttled the V bottom with Brian and then throttled the Supercat and that. But it's a huge transition.
Yeah.
I would say, for me right now, it's starting to come a little bit more parallel that they're about the ease of it. But I've been a lot more comfortable in a V bottom. I've just felt a V bottom better just because I haven't really had a lot of cat experience. But I'm starting to feel the cat now. So especially with my pleasure boat, having that little one and kind of running that around, and so starting to get a little bit better here.
Nice. Myrick, I mean, there's a lot of transition between V-bottom guys coming into cats, especially with the popularity, especially with the outboard cats. What would your best advice be to those people transitioning from a V-bottom to a catamaran?
Don't get overconfident of the stability of the cat that you feel right off the bat. I mean, to me, a cat's where it's at, or whatever you want to say, but a lot of the times you'll just be, it feels easier to me. A catamaran feels easier. If I'm running a really fast V bottom, it feels like I'm trying to balance it right on the keel the whole time, to where in a cat, my keels are out here and it can sit on them, and it's just further apart. So it feels like you have a little bit more stability. But when you get the cats going real fast, like especially stock class, when you get them on that bubble and it's riding around and you're trying to keep it from kissing off of each sponson, you drive it very similar to a V bottom at that time. But in the so
once you get up on that bubble, it's a lot the same.
Yeah. You're just basically trying to keep it out of a gyration, which when in a V bottom, when you get chine walk, it's basically because of friction, you know, and it just amplifies, and then you either got to slow down or you try to power through it, but depends on the boat. But anyway, you have training wheels on those. You consider the tabs training wheels, you know, because you can put them down. A lot of them run them level. Some people run them down a little bit. And then when it goes into that chine walk, it might touch them and set you back. Cat, we usually don't run tabs like that. I mean, you could, but we usually don't do it just because of the added weight and all that stuff that goes along with it.
Couple on the back of some skaters.
Yeah.
What about the difference between, say, a stern drive catamaran to an outboard cat?
Depends what size you're talking about and what power.
I would say
let's talk
that
racing Supercat to the
super stock versus a Supercat is just the forgiveness level. In a super stock, there's so much more finicky than like a Supercat. Just seems fat and more forgiving than a super stock. A super stock is so finicky, and every movement, the way your trim set, and every movement on the steering wheel is so finicky. And if you just touch the steering wheel just a hair, you can watch it lose 2-3 miles an hour. Where in a Supercat, it's not as touchy as what a super stock is.
Yeah, 4,900 with 600 horse, or 9,500 with 1,600 horse. I don't know what the actual ratio is, but that would make I guarantee that the ratio is a lot higher per. So
I learned that a lot just racing with LPC. Just any little movement on that wheel, we'd lose a lot, you know. And the Supercat, it just doesn't seem like it's as touchy there.
No, not as touchy, but still touchy. So
still
literally
for sure.
Yeah. Where the torque range is in these engines, especially when we run 7,000 RPMs, they have no torque below 4,000 RPMs. You put the throttle down and you're like, what's wrong? And then they hit about $4,000 and then they come to life and they really start going, which in a catamaran, that broad RPM range is really cool because it's like another gear. But when you're below that $4,000, which sometimes is leaving a corner, or if you get caught in a wash, or at the start of the race, when all that comes into play, it can be like something's wrong with the engine until it gets to that point. And most of the time you grab the trim button. And so inherently you grab the trim button to get the RPMs up, and then you kiss off of a wave and you're like, oh shit, what happened? And then you tuck it back in and, you know, there goes everybody. So it's like, well, that sucked, you know.
Or you start playing with a tab there in Supercat, which a couple of us are running tunnel tabs, and makes a huge difference in your acceleration and popping out of corners and stuff.
Yeah, basically blocking off the air to get the lift.
But can be a bit dangerous if you forget to leave it down.
Yeah, I can't.
How so? What happens there?
It'll bow steer. It'll
hook and come around.
Yeah. It's not so much. I mean, you could blow it over, but it's more like you get the compression in the boat lifts, and then once it lifts, your skags can come out of the water. Like when Tyler and I spun out in
St. Pete.
St. Pete. Yeah, it was literally, I was asking for more tab, man. I was like, put that bitch down. Let's go, you know. And we're still not even exited the last turn yet, and we're going through the turn. He's like, okay. And basically we're trimming out, tab down. Next thing you know, we're going backwards the other way. I mean, and it's like that. I mean, does not give you any feedback that it's gonna do what it's gonna do. It's like, well, that's really sucked, you know. So.
We were actually behind them too when they did that, and all we seen was just a big, you know, giant splash up in the air, and we didn't know which direction to go and where they'd pop out of it. Luckily, we went like hard right towards the inside, made it through,
Yeah.
and then as we were going by, I'm seeing the boat backwards, and you're like, first thing, just shit, I hope they're okay, and then the next thing, you're like, fuck yeah, I got around MCON.
Dick. In the video, so we spin around and you can't hear what we're saying, but the next thing because we're up I think we're in second, Pro Floor's right ahead of us, so there's like, here comes 8 more boats behind us, and you're like, oh man, you see us like crunch down like this, like, oh shit, somebody's gonna fucking run us over, man, this isn't not gonna be good.
Well, because nobody could see them and all the splash.
Yeah,
it happened
the
so
splash.
fast.
Yeah, that's one of the things about if you see any droplets or any water on the windshield of another boat, they can't see. I mean, you're just guessing where to go. Hopefully nobody's there. And thing is, you can't lift when you're in that or you're beat. So
yeah,
sucks.
Yeah. So Vinny, I've got your race schedule for 2023 in front of me. You're starting with Marathon, and then Cocoa Beach, and then Lake of the Ozarks Power Fest. Then on to Sarasota, Michigan City, St. Pete, Clearwater, and then Key West. That's a heavy schedule.
It's a packed schedule, but I mean, that's what we all kind of agreed to for Supercat owners. We would have had that other race if we would have been still with the Mercury Power, which is kind of a bummer that's kind of right in our backyard. But I mean, all these other guys will be up here, and I mean, we're only an hour from Sheboygan, and a lot of my friends up here were pretty excited that, we were this close to home, but we gotta, I mean, it costs us so much to do this sport we all love, and like, we got to be up and be competitive, and we got to get our weight down, and the only way to do that is to go back with them motors.
Right. Yeah. I guarantee it was a hard decision for Vinny to make, pulling those engines out, because he has been such he bleeds the Mercury blue is what they say. You bleed blue. He's good friends with Stuart. And for sure, we joke with him, but I guarantee he didn't want to do it. So
no, it's kind of a bummer,
but he was.
But it is what it is. I mean, I still got merch stuff on my pleasure boat, and
sure,
it just is what it is.
Yeah,
so
and you
Myrick,
still have a lot of Mercury stuff on your Supercat too. A lot of Mercury racing stuff on the Supercat, drives, all that stuff.
Myrick, I assume MCON has a similar Supercat schedule to this.
Yeah, from what you said, I think it's exactly the same. To be honest,
So with you two guys in the class, who else? What other team do you think is going to be the team to look for out there?
Oh man,
Pro Floors is always there. I mean, it's Supercat. It can be a coin flip.
Yeah,
especially
this year
we
got new people too. I mean, we've got you got to finish and national championship thing. It's like I said, I think I said I got interviewed last time or the last podcast. It's the hardest thing to do. National championship, Key West. It doesn't take all the travel and all that, but it's tough. But it's not like a national championship. But yeah, I mean, I put Pro Floors there. Us, Vinny. I think of WHM. They're always that boat, and it's had an off year here last year and a half, and I think they've gotten those gremlins worked out because and Billy was sick and all that stuff, so that didn't help, and they were going through a transition with their crew and things like that. So I think that them getting a little bit of more time in the boat and a little bit more just normalcy in their crew, I think it will help out a lot. Newcomers, Clovar, the Dirty Money with Ventura and
Pyburn.
Bill Pyburn. And then I don't. Is Liquor Split going to be running this year? I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
and they'll still be with 860s. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that boat was good at certain races last year. I think it was actually St. Pete. St. Pete, and the other one with the big was a big pier. Oh, that is St. Pete, right? Or Clearwater. But there's similar. Them courses are very similar to me because they got that as you're heading back towards the bank, they got a left-hander in it, and it's a different feeling going around the course all the way to the right and then throwing a chicane or a left-hander in the course.
That St. Pete course is fun for sure.
Yeah, it is, except for when you spin out.
Yeah, when you helicopter it.
Yeah. Twirly bird. Yeah. Yeah, not good.
Who else are we missing there? Who else are we missing in our class? I mean, there's 12, no?
Yeah. There's a lot.
It's a big class. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch you guys out there. And
some of them starts are going to be pretty wide. Oh, Gradle.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rough water team. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot them, the team that beat us like every time in the rough last year with Tyler's old boat, which is a kick in the balls, but you know, oh well. Yeah. I mean, we were running as hard as we could, and that boat would just pull from us in the rough. I mean, Billy can definitely run a boat in the rough
for sure. Oh,
yeah.
Big ball.
Yeah. And a lot of the time I'll think Chris is going to be like, man, that was wild. Right. But he gets out of the boat and Chris Gann will be like, man, that was fun. And I was like, what? That wasn't fun at all. I was like, what is he? Yeah, man, it must, I don't know.
Meanwhile, me and Myrick both got a race in already. So I would be out in the V bottom. He's out in the super stock. And then we just got the shit beat out of us in Supercats. And we're like, yeah, we're done with these things. Get ready to walk away from it. Chris comes up, gives you a hug, and goes, that was fucking great. We're like, it sucked.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what you were doing, man.
Yeah.
But I got, you know what? A lot of it is the fact that he's in the lead. That's what made it great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You forget about how sore you're going to feel the next morning when you won that.
Yeah.
Hey, Vinny, do you think racing more than one boat in a race helps or hinders your performance?
Mine or just overall?
Your personal.
It just depends on the water. The more now that I've been doing this, I guess, with most of the courses that we've been around, I'm getting more familiar with them. But it helps a lot, but just a lot of times the water changes and it doesn't help you at all. You know, I'll go out in the V bottom and thinking, okay, this is going to be a flat race. And then by the time Supercat gets out there, shit kicks up and it's no comparison. I mean, Michigan City.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I feel like such a jackass because I tell Tyler, a lot of the times Tyler will get by whoever's crew chief, and at the time is Andy, and he'll be like, hey, Myrick, what should we run? And I'll tell him our top speed, and, you know, this is what I think we should run. And then we'll go in and, you know, literally go to the crane, get on another boat and come back out, and it is either stood up 2 more feet or it's laid down. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't see that coming.
Well, Michigan City in the V bottom, me and Brian rolled the thing and we were upside down. And, soaking wet, we get out of the thing, go back, go to the ambulance, check out okay, and then go back to my hauler, change clothes, and then go jump in my Supercat. Like, so,
and it's even rougher when you go back out that. So, you're like, man, somebody's really watching out for me here.
Yeah. So at that part, it doesn't really help at all.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's rough,
I don't know.
There is nothing good about a rough water race. I mean, no.
The fans like it, but it's not cool.
Well, I mean, as a magazine guy, it's great for the pictures, right?
Yeah.
Get you guys launching off the swells, and it's just so.
Yeah. It's not good.
Like Billy and Chris in Key West, right in front of the wall. I mean, almost hook and rolled that thing and saved it.
I know. Jake gets on the radio to us and goes, they spun out. I'm like, yeah. And then next thing I was like, well, they spun out. Why didn't we pass them? He goes, no, they kept going. I was like, what? I was like, spinning out and keeping going are 2 totally different things, but they hooked it and like went complete 90. They had to get down to like 40, 50 miles an hour and still had the lead over us. That was at a Friday race. I mean, they were on point, and that's how it feels like that about Cocoa and Michigan City, all those races that they did so good in. So,
this podcast episode has been brought to you by Performance Boat Center. What all do you guys do there?
We do everything. We'll sell you one. We'll detail one. We'll work on it. We'll do. We like to work on Mercury products, but we'll do everything from custom power to the re-rig of a boat or repowering your existing boat. But yeah, so we'll broker your boat that you want to sell. We'll sell you a boat. We'll transport a boat. We'll even work on it in South Florida. We have a place there in Hollywood, Florida, so just north of Fort Lauderdale a little bit. So yeah, awesome. We can take care of you at Performance Boat Center.
PerformanceBoatCenter.com for all your needs in Lake of the Ozarks and South Florida. So, Vinnie, you've been racing with Simon Prevost. There may or may not be a personnel change.
Yeah, Simon at the end of after Key West there, we kind of talked a bit and said he just wasn't really into it anymore and kind of wants to invest, some of his money into some rental properties and stuff like that. So I'm just going to keep going forward here, and I kind of got the driver's seat about nailed down to like 3 different people. I'm actually going to go to the lake here this weekend. I'm going to go run around and maybe even have Myrick go out too and see what kind of his opinion is on it too of who's going to hold the wheel there in the race boat for me. So it's should be good. I just need somebody that's in it 100% and wants to do it with our team, just because our crew guys are pretty invested. I mean, my crew guys don't get paid or nothing. They just help out because they love it,
Yeah.
And I want to be able to get on top of that box with our crew guys. And, we had a chance to do that in Key West. We ended up 3rd in the worlds, and, it was a little booster, I guess, to my team. And, we want to get further up.
What was the guy's name that kept putting the 3rd place trophy in my face all night?
Oh, baby Jack, we call him.
Baby Jack.
Because he looks like one of the guys from The Incredibles.
Yeah.
We say that Ham looks like, what's the other one? The shit that I always get from The Incredible. I got so many of these Photoshops.
Oh man, Ham looks just like him though. But literally, I mean, so we won first.
Yeah,
and he keeps coming up to the bar and bumping into me with the 3rd place trophy. Like, hey, have you seen this?
Baby Jack carried the trophy around the whole night at the bar. He's like, when we went to leave after, I'm like, he's like, you gonna bring the trophy? I'm like, no, bro, it's 3rd place. He's like, I'm fucking taking it. I said, oh, you do you, like, bring it.
We went over to Vinny's house the next day because we like to stay on that Monday after Key West, and they had hidden the trophy from him. that's how sick they were of him with that freaking trophy.
His wife was the most pissed. I actually ended up giving it to him. She even told Myrick at one point. She comes up to him. She's like, "You can
knock him out. Knock him out." I was like, "No, he's having fun. Knock him out."
Red. That's just because Red didn't have to do it that night. She wanted you to do it because she's usually the one that knocks him out.
Yeah. He'd have probably beat me up.
I actually gave him that trophy. We got home. He ended up finding it when we were
hilarious.
Unpacking the hauler. I said, "You just take that one."
That's hilarious.
I went over to his shop. He's the one that owns the motorsport shop. He's got it sitting on a shelf in his office.
Oh, I thought it'd be on his nightstand.
Maybe it did. I don't know.
That's funny.
Well, to your point earlier, Ben, I mean, your crew does it for free because they love the sport, and essentially all of you guys, team owners especially, there's not a whole lot of payback or reward, but you guys all do it for the passion of racing, and you're continuing on because of your passion.
Oh yeah, the racing part of it it's awesome, but I mean honestly, just all the cool people that I met, and like our racing family that we get to see at every race. I mean,
yeah,
we got a close group of friends, that we all hang out with at races and stuff. And our kids, like, if you ever seen that picture of all of our kids at Michigan City on all their little electric bikes. There's like 10 of them lined up in front of our pit, and they love it. They all buzz around the pits, and we all look and we're like, too fast.
Yeah. Ready for some serious rash. I know it's one of my favorite pictures is little Brian, little Vin, and Camden, my little guy. And you think about it, it's Brian Forehand, Vinnie Diorio, Myrick Coil's kids, and they're all like within months of the same age.
And they all got race jerseys on and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So cool.
Yeah. So
and they're all pretty much spitting image of all three of us. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Poor kids.
I mean, what a cool atmosphere to grow up around, right? And then essentially probably breeding the next generation of offshore racers.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah. No,
Myrick says hopefully because his kid will probably be a paid gun or something like that. Won't even have to own all the shit like we do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would be in, I'd have to race jet skis. I think it was on my dime. So not even that.
Yeah.
So Vinny, with all that stuff and your work obviously is through the roof, do you still get time to go out pleasure boating?
Yeah.
When Danielle makes him.
Yeah.
Like in Key West, she made him bring the 37 down and crane it in and all this, and he was so against it. She's like, that thing's going in the water, and she won.
Oh yeah, she did. It's a pretty hectic schedule for sure.
Yeah.
Fortunately enough, I mean, we leave our boat on a lift we got on Lake Winnebago up there, kind of where Mercury's from, up by Fond du Lac, that, and so it makes it a lot easier for us to go pleasure boating on the weekends. It's about an hour away from our house, so it's nice to just go to put the lift down. But yeah, with our kids' schedule and racing schedule, it's hectic. I mean, I don't know that I have 15 hours on my pleasure boat.
Yeah, wow.
We've taken it down to the Ozarks, I think, for maybe shootout weekend and stuff, and try to run around as much as we can down there. And there's just so much to do down there, and especially that weekend, there's so many people everywhere. But yeah, not as much as I'd like to, for sure.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe this year will be easier. I don't know.
So how do you?
At least you have it for when you do want to use it.
Yeah, no, I think I'd be better just to get my wife on the wheel in the race boat, and then we can kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, you sell a boat.
You could be there anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know whether it was Snapchat or you sent me a video the other day, and she's like, whoever trained her at driving should be fired. He's putting to. Yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah,
something like that.
Snapchat. Like, I don't even know what it was. I was just so tired. We were coming home from somewhere. She was driving. I think it was probably the first time that I've ever ridden in the passenger seat with her. And I took a picture of her, and I said, whoever gave her driver. Yeah, her feet are crossed underneath the brake pedal. So I took a video of her feet and then went up on her, and I said, whoever gave her a driver's license should rot in prison.
Yeah.
She is the world's worst driver. It's terrible. I think I would just rather take my chances of me just driving and then have to go through that again.
Being tired. Yeah, tired.
Yeah, not good at it.
He always tells me, he goes, she curbed the wheels again in the road.
Oh, and then he sent me a picture like a month later, and Miss got one too.
Yeah, Missy got two. Yeah.
Good.
But Missy didn't turn on the tears. She just told me in front of a group of people, so I couldn't be mad. Danielle turns on the tears.
She come walking in the house, stomping her feet, crying. I said, "What's wrong?" I curbed the wheel. I'm like,
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the four of you guys, you, Vinny, and Danielle, and Missy and Myrick, when you guys get together, you guys have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
we do. We're all very similar people. We like our families, like hanging out together, like having a few beers, and we like just being around each other. It's a pretty great deal.
Yeah. So I mean,
a lot of the same stuff for sure.
Yeah, back to the.
Like we got tattoos on the same day. Yeah.
We got our rings tattooed in Key West together one year.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like all four of you?
Yeah,
all of us. Danielle, she got hers so thin, I think it wore off. But
I think it rubbed off already.
And he laughs at mine. He says it looks like it says MCon on it, but it's really but it's really
so committed he got MCon on his ring finger.
No, it's MC and MC. Just
Tyler doesn't even have MCon tattooed on himself yet. You won.
No, we tried to get Jake to get a tramp stamp. I think it got up to like I think it's like at $5,000 right now if he would do it. He still hasn't done it.
Yeah.
No, and he's got a baby. He's got a baby on the way. I think it's due like next week, so he might think about it.
Oh wow, that's great. So back to the origin of this podcast. It's Boats and Bros, and obviously Vinnie and Myrick are bros. They're offshore racing bros, and they'll be competing against each other and then hanging out in the pits with one another. Question that I got from somebody at one of the races last season was, are we allowed to go to the pits? And I just want people to know that absolutely, please go visit these guys in the pits. They're more than welcoming, and they love to have you. They love seeing the public and, taking pictures with you and everything else. So go support these guys. Vinnie, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you being on. I'm sure it won't be the last time because you guys like to mix it up, and it's so much fun. So thank you, Vin.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Myrick, thanks for being on with us again on the Boats and Bros podcast. And if you like this episode, please like, follow, and share, and rate the podcast so we can get this thing off the out into the stratosphere. So this has been Ray Lee with host Myrick Coil on Boats and Bros with Vinnie Diorio of SV Racing.
Hey.